Hi, my name is Priya Patel. I'm a market research analyst at G2, specializing in the content management and design categories. G2 is a software review platform, and today I'm going to be digging into the data generated from those user reviews to talk about the digital experience platform space, what's happening in the space, and how it's evolving, all from the eyes of the customer. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you find this session to be informative and insightful. To kick it off, I want to start with what is G2? So for those of you who aren't familiar, G2 is the largest technology review marketplace where businesses can discover, review, and manage the software that they need. Currently, we have over 131,000 product and service listings across 2,000 categories. And these categories encompass everything from project management to sales to data privacy to IT infrastructure and a whole lot more. Across these listings, we have over 1.6 million reviews. These are all unbiased, verified reviews from actual software users. What makes G2 different from other review platforms is our speed to react to changes in the market. We know that technology is evolving rapidly, new software categories are emerging all the time, and new products are being launched virtually every day. For a buyer who's tasked with finding the right product for their business needs, the sheer amount of options out there and the rapidly changing marketplace is extremely overwhelming. At G2, our market research team makes sure that we are reacting quickly to these changes. We study the market and we interact directly with vendors to understand these changes. We use these insights to create new categories, conduct routine category audits, update category definitions, and consistently publish thought leadership to keep buyers informed. We want to make sure that our category taxonomy is representative of what's happening in the space at any given time. The specific category that I'm going to be talking about today is, of course, the Digital Experience Platforms category, or the DXP category. Currently, we have 82 products in the category with 1,806 DXP user reviews across those products. This category saw considerable growth in 2021, with user reviews growing 38%. This graph on the right-hand side here is what we called a grid report. This one specifically is a screenshot of the DXP category grid report. All products on G2 have a G2 score, which are based on two subscores, satisfaction score and market presence score. Satisfaction scores are based on reviews gathered from our user community. These reviews touch on important metrics such as ease of use, ease of admin, quality of support, just to name a few. Market presence scores are based on data aggregated from online sources and social networks. Both of these scores are mapped onto this grid, which is our proprietary G2 grid. And as you can see, this grid is very useful for buyers to be able to compare products within the same category or compare products that they're considering purchasing. It's really easy to visualize which products are doing well and to make a quick and informed decision based on the experience of other users. Another thing that I'll say about this grid is that it's a live grid, which means that as new reviews are generated and the scores of the products on the grid change, this grid will update to reflect those changes. You can find a G2 grid for each of the categories we have on G2 on each category page. So really getting into what a DXP is now. So while there's no set definition for a DXP, here is G2's definition. Digital experience platforms are composed of an integrated set of core technologies that support the creation, management, and delivery of omnichannel digital experiences. That's quite a vague definition and an all-encompassing definition at the same time. And that's really what DXPs are. The goal of DXPs is to connect data and content with customers to create seamless, personalized digital experiences. And there's a lot that goes into accomplishing that. DXPs cover a lot of ground in terms of the functionality that they provide, and each of the component pieces of a DXP are often full-fledged software solutions themselves. So because of this, a lot of the products that are included in the DXP category on G2 are also included in various other categories. You can see this depicted on this overlap Venn diagram that I've created. Of the 82 products we have in the DXP category, a lot of them are also included in some of the other categories that are shown here, such as web ops platforms, localization, customer data platforms, marketing automation, personalization tools, just to name a few. Now I'll get into some of the quantitative data from the DXP reviews. Before I get into this, I will preface it by saying that the data presented in this presentation has been taken from reviews generated between January 1st, 2021 and February 26, 2022. To begin, here is a graph showing the average satisfaction scores of DXP products. As I mentioned earlier, when talking about the grid report, G2 scores are based on both satisfaction score and market presence score. To generate satisfaction score, we asked reviewers to score products based on the metrics shown on this graph. They are meets requirements, ease of use, ease of setup, ease of admin, ease of doing business with, and quality of support. G2 calls these our simple six metrics. The DXP category is actually doing exceptionally well with these metrics across the board, especially compared with other categories. The metric with the lowest score is ease of setup at 89%. Based on what I mentioned, with DXPs having a lot of functionality and a lot of individual software solutions that need to be integrated together, the fact that ease of setup has the lowest score is not surprising. Moving on to this slide, which also shows satisfaction scores. However, this time I've broken these out into the different business segments, which are either small business, mid-market, and enterprise. The largest portion of DXP reviews come from our enterprise customers at 42%, then our mid-market customers at 34%, and then small business customers at 24%. While the scores of all three business segments are all performing very well and they're all very similar, it is interesting to see that enterprise reviews have the highest scores across all six metrics, even if only by a little. On this slide here, we have estimated time to ROI and perceived pricing. When it comes to ROI, most users saw a return on their investment within 24 months, with 44% saying that they saw a return within only 6 months. Considering the cost of implementing a DXP is relatively high, these numbers look pretty good. Perceived pricing is a measure of how expensive buyers think a product is. Because pricing methodologies can vary from vendor to vendor, using actual prices doesn't always provide an accurate comparison. So at G2, we use a scale from 1 to 7 where buyers can indicate how expensive they perceive the product to be, with 1 being least expensive and 7 being very expensive. For the DXP category, the spread was quite consistent across all price levels, with the highest amount of reviewers stating a 4. I haven't broken out these graphs into different business segments because, interestingly enough, the graphs for the individual business segments were very similar to the graph of the overall category, as shown here. The slide here is about implementation time, and implementation method. When it comes to implementation time, 50% of users said it took them between 1 to 3 months to implement their DXP. Again, considering the complexity of DXPs, 1 to 3 months is expected. The graph on the right shows implementation time by implementation method. The implementation methods included third-party consultant, in-house team, and vendor services team. The differences in implementation time are actually really interesting. 68% of reviewers who used the vendor's service team to implement their DXP had it implemented within 1 month. Implementation times for reviewers who used an in-house team were quite evenly spread out, with only 29% of reviewers stating that they had it implemented within 1 month. For those who used third-party consultants for implementation, the majority stated that it took between 1 and 6 months to implement their DXP. So you could see how different those numbers are. Reviewers who use vendor service teams to implement got their DXP implemented a lot faster than those that use the other two options. Now moving on to some of the qualitative insights from the DXP reviews. One of the questions asked in the review form is what business challenges were solved using a DXP, or what are the benefits realized from using a DXP? And here are some of the common themes. Firstly, we have personalization, which isn't a surprise. Personalization capabilities are at the forefront of DXP solutions. It's their bread and butter. Reviewers specifically mentioned personalization in terms of managing dynamic content, both on websites and marketing material. Second, we have multi-site content management. For larger companies with numerous brands who are operating in multiple countries and need to be multilingual, being able to manage all of this on one platform is a game changer. Another common use for DXPs was delivering omnichannel digital experiences. With a large amount of potential channels to reach customers, it's important for businesses to be able to deliver device-agnostic content through all of these various channels and build a cohesive user experience across them. Lastly, we have the no-code, low-code development capabilities, which are extremely important for app development and API integration and management. This is especially important for non-technical users looking to utilize DXPs without working with the developer. Traditionally, the users of DXPs have been both marketers and also the development team, and it continues to be the same. However, there is an increasing amount of marketers and non-technical users utilizing DXPs, so this no-code, low-code development capability is extremely beneficial. On the left-hand side here, there is a quote from a reviewer that really captures the essence of what a DXP solution provides and the benefit that it provides. An administrator at a mid-market computer and network security company said, "My DXP solution gives me the opportunity to work with a vast amount of data relatively easily via its user-friendly interface and predefined reporting and workflows. This helps to make better marketing decisions overall, which are supported by data." On this slide here, I pulled out some common likes and dislikes. So interestingly enough, the first two items on both of these lists are the same: customization capabilities and UI and UX. This is because different products, of course, have different capabilities, and where one excels, one might fall short. But it's also because users have different capabilities, and two users using the same product might have two vastly different experiences. The first most common like was ease of use, after which was customer support. DXPs are complex and difficult to set up and maintain. However, users were extremely impressed with the level of support that they received. Another one was integration with multiple data platforms, which gave users more accurate customer profiles. On the dislikes list, we have pricing. Users repeatedly mentioned the high price tag being a downside of the product, but acknowledged that you get what you pay for. And despite the high price tag, they also received a lot of value. Another one is the need for better documentation and training materials. While customer support is a plus, having documentation provides them with more of a DIY solution, and it also helps with onboarding new users to the platform. Lastly, another area for improvement is having documentation, support, and actual products in other languages. With increasingly remote workforces, users are needing to conduct business in different languages. As part of our review form, we ask reviewers if they switched over from another product, and if so, what was the reason for doing so? Here are some common reasons users switched over to a new DXP provider. The first reason is for data integrity purposes. Reviewers mentioned how difficult it was to manage the data and to trust the data, and a lot of this was because of the data platforms that the DXP was integrated with. The quote here on the left-hand side refers to this. A user working for a mid-market retail company said, "Our old DXP required too much tagging to get useful insights and a great deal of work to get value." Users also mentioned other reasons for switching, which included switching for an easier-to-use DXP with a better user experience, more customization capabilities, and for reduced maintenance time and cost. All of these insights are only useful if we distill them down to one simple question: what do users want? I think there are three main themes that emerge from the reviews generated in the past year. Firstly, as I mentioned throughout the presentation, customer support is so important. As the problems that DXP solutions are solving become increasingly complex, customer support, along with training guides, is a must. One user had this to say about their DXP product: "It has a little bit of a learning curve if you want to achieve more than what is available out of the box, but customer support is great to achieve this." Second, we have clean and intuitive user experience. As more non-technical users begin to utilize DXPs, they are demanding a solution that is just easier to use. One reviewer said, "Provided most of the users are non-technical, it would be helpful if the UI was a bit more user-friendly." And lastly, we have enhanced data analytics. With businesses acquiring an unprecedented amount of data, they are demanding better data handling capabilities in order to create more accurate customer profiles and to deliver more personalized digital experiences. One reviewer said this about their DXP: Our DXP has an incredibly powerful set of analytics and segmentation tools, facilitating deep, meaningful understanding of our customer data, which helps us achieve our business goals. I'll end by saying that the market is evolving fast, customer expectations and needs are changing, and so the requirements that buyers have of their DXP are also changing. There are a lot of DXP providers today, and buyers will be picky when choosing the one that's right for them and their needs. Businesses these days not only need to focus on delivering really good digital experiences, but they need to focus on digital experience maturity. How can they stand out from their competitors? DXPs are able to do so much and they can provide so much value, but if businesses aren't figuring out how to make their DXP work best for them, they're missing out. So DXP providers need to make sure they're keeping up with the market and giving buyers what they're asking for. I hope this presentation provided some useful insights into what buyers want and how DXPs will evolve to meet these needs. I also hope that knowing you can use G2 as a resource to search for, learn about, and compare products will enable you and empower you to either understand your buyers better or to become a more informed buyer. Thank you so much for joining this session. My name is Priya Patel. My email address is ppatel@g2.com. Feel free to email me if you want to get in touch. Again, thank you for joining, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.